The Bruins have been forced into an impossible decision as one player in the AHL and a long-term projected starter for the Bruins has been doing some incredible things. We're going to be breaking it down, going over this decision, as well as multiple updates coming from this Bruins team, including another injury update to David Pastrnak, as well as one thing that confirms the Bruins made a serious win. Ready to breaking it all down here in this video. Before we do jump into it though, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that sub button. Join me here on the channel. We're covering everything Bruins, and we have a lot of stuff to get into today as the future is in question for the Bruins in this season, and I'll be breaking down why right here. But jumping into this right now, there have been some things that have been going on in the AHL with all of the injuries that have been going on with this Boston Bruins team that is in question by many Bruins fans, and that is Fabian Lysell. Once again, the guy that we've spoken about 100 times here on the channel as to why he has or hasn't been called up yet. And now is the time, if any, that he should be called up. Looking at the AHL stats this year, he's second on the team in points, 18 in 16 games. He's been, frankly, fantastic this year in the AHL with the sheer amount of injuries that have kept on happening with this Bruins roster. Many people are wondering why it's a Georgi Merkulov, why it's a Riley Tufte, why it's a Matej Blumel being called up over Fabian Lysell, the guy who has been really dominating in points on this team. And not just points, but also he's been making some fantastic plays. He has been playing probably the best hockey of his career to this point, and he's not been given the option. Now, going into this, of course, you can see some moves that have been made. Of course, Riley Tufte is 16 points in 13 games, Matej Blumel, point per game. So going through this roster, there's a few people that have been called up that would likely be higher on the points had they stayed down in the AHL. But going into this now, and looking at how this lineup has faced a significant amount of injuries, and luckily at this point right now, for the majority of this roster, we're getting healthier. Victor Arvidsson returning, and really left without just David Pastrnak for the time being. But given an opportunity that Fabian Lysell has, the opportunity that he's had in the AHL, and the amount of opportunities he's had in the NHL, a lot of people are questioning if his time is next for this Bruins team. And like I mentioned, with the amount of roster moves that have been made, a lot on the defense with a few injuries there, so obviously that wouldn't necessarily have an impact on Fabian Lysell. But Merkulov, Blumel, Casey Mittelstadt coming back, he was on the IR. There's a lot of names that have been chosen over him, and I'm going to explain why right here. When you're looking at this, they want to make sure Fabian Lysell has every asset that he needs, and he will be ready to be in the NHL when his name is called. Could he be given it next game? Certainly. He could be the next man up. But would that be his last opportunity? If he is on this point streak in the AHL, fantastic down in Providence, called up to the NHL, and he goes and just completely shuts down what he was doing. The Bruins are on some of their final straws with Fabian Lysell, and that would desperately be one of the biggest changes to him based on his trade value. And we know the Bruins don't really have a plan for Fabian Lysell coming up over the next couple of seasons, at least what it seems like right now. And the fact that he is still putting up some numbers, is showing promise, but has not been able to translate that to the NHL just yet, is a point where the Bruins are trying to figure out what the plan is. And obviously, playing 12 games in the NHL, being 3 points, 12 games, was not strong enough. It didn't seem like, wasn't quick enough, just wasn't sharp enough in the NHL. That seems to have turned around so far this season and is already on a significantly higher pace and points than what he did last season in Providence. And kind of going back to that area of 23-24 when he was 50 points in 56 games for this team. So given the opportunity, Fabian Lysell, should he be called up to the NHL? That's what I want to ask you guys. And I have a few more things I want to pull up. And one more tweet that really puts it into perspective. But do you think it's time for the Bruins to call up Fabian Lysell? Give me a Y in the comments if for yes and an N for no if you don't think so. And give me your reasoning why. Because there are options. There certainly are options. And I mean, going into this season, the Bruins were not projected to be this good. They've been good. Of course, that would have probably changed had there been the case of Fabian Lysell. likely would have changed had this team not been good, not been ready to go. They have been. They've been very solid, and they don't want to change things that are not broken. But going into this tweet here, and this really, to me, from iHockey NHL, put this into a fantastic perspective. And I'll pull this up right here. Bruins fans are curious why Fabian Lysell, who's a point per game in the AHL, a little bit over actually at this point, is not called up yet with all of the Bruins' injuries. Lysell has missed so many times at the NHL level, he can't afford another. Another listless effort, and I think he becomes untradeable, needs to be sure this time, which is an excellent idea as to why Fabian Lysell has not been called up yet. If the Bruins want to try and trade him, why not let him stack up some points in the AHL, knowing that he's on a great pace down there, than trying to call him up and prove to teams that at the NHL level, he's probably not it. They don't want to ruin his trade value, and this may be some sign going forward with what the Bruins' plan is on the trade market. That is a big question, and I think that is something that we're going to see answered sooner rather than later if these injuries do continue to plague the Bruins, with February being the Olympics and many back-to-back games. I think it's fair that we're going to see some different looks on the offense for the remainder of the season, and that goes for every team, not just the Bruins. So many teams are going to be looking for a player like Fabian Lysell, and I think when it all is said and done, it makes a lot of sense as to what the Bruins are trying to do with him down in the AHL when you have, at least what it seems like, more NHL-ready players in the organization already. So like I said, let me know in the comments below what you think about this decision. If you think that tweet from iHockey NHL is what the Bruins' thought process is as well, because that's what I'm really leaning towards at this point after seeing some of the names that have been called up. That goes for Matt Poitras as well, someone who's also been down in the AHL, trying to get his feet back underneath him, get some more points, get back to that rhythm before he does return to the NHL roster. So let me know in the comments below what you think about that. We do have a few more updates here, however, and this one comes from Adam Pellerin today. So hello from Detroit, an optional skate for the Bruins this morning. Arvidsson is in. Pastrnak is not on the trip, but this is what's a little bit more concerning, and like we spoke about in yesterday's video, at what point has this become an issue for the Bruins? Marco Sturm says he's the closest to returning, but is not skating this week, and at this point right now, we're going on 2 weeks. This is more week to week than day to day after David Pastrnak with a lower body injury missed already 2 to 3 games and is projected to miss a couple more here, with Thursday being another game. If he's not skating this week, the question is going to be how long is David Pastrnak actually going to be out? So this is something I wanted to pull up just again, a little bit concerning, at least for me right now. And at this point, what the plan is going to be going forward still is to be determined. But one more update before we do finish this one off here is I think that it's safe to say this trade between the Maple Leafs and the Bruins, where we got Fraser Minten, was officially a dub. And obviously, it sucks to see, but Brandon Carlo will miss extended time, is going to need surgery. So lucky for the Bruins that, the Maple Leafs are going to be worse now without a great player, but obviously hope everything is going well for Brandon Carlo. Phenomenal player, longtime player here, and it does suck to see for him going with this injury now, but I think Fraser Minten was really a guy that the Maple Leafs didn't want to give up, and the 27 games played, 8 points this year, he has shown a much, much better kind of production on the ice than his actual point production. He's so much more important to the team than just points, so I think it's fair to say this is officially a dub if it wasn't already. But ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got here in this video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. But let me know what you think about Fabian Lysell and also David Pastrnak here in the comments below. But that's all I got. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button. I'm signing out though. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.